Let's start. Today's topic is a startup visa for Canada. This has been one of the most successful programs so far. However, at the same time, I will tell you it's one of the most difficult ones. Okay, um, why? I will explain it in a moment, and we will go through this. We are preparing. We are about to publish this very helpful booklet for you so that you can have it handy to know more about the program. But I will go through this. Once this booklet is ready, I will share it in our social media channels. So don't forget to subscribe. Now, the let's start with why bringing your great idea, your great startup to Canada. Okay, there are many reasons. I will just highlight some of them. Why? It's because is access to capital, especially these days during COVID time. Access to very needed capital for your startup is very cheap. The interest rates are very low, and there are people looking for to invest and to investing into certain great ideas. Okay, great projects. So access to capital is one thing that you can get by coming to Canada, by bringing your startup to Canada. Access to talent pool. There's no doubt that Canada attracts the best of the best from around the world, and they study here, they establish themselves here. While the startup is a great idea, but to sustain that startup, you need access to global talent. There are many programs that allow you to bring global talent into Canada. However, there are many other encouragement and support by the government to hire locally too. But of course, there's a huge lack in talent, especially in such areas as high tech and other rapidly growing areas. So access to global talent and talent locally is very important. Of course, stability and stable economy and safety overall is something to consider, because I hear a lot of stories from other startup owners, successful startup owners in their home countries. They don't feel secure. They don't, unreasonable legal challenges come in front of them when they are developing their startup in their home countries. So there are many considerations. So stability and safety is one benefit you can get by bringing your startup to Canada. And of course, there's favorable tax incentives on a local, municipal, federal levels. And finally, friendly immigration policy, which allows you as a startup creator to establish yourself and your family in Canada, bring your workers and partners to Canada. And so there's always has always been open for immigration, especially when it comes to high tech and startup ideas. Okay, basically, I will on a very high level, I will highlight the main requirements, the top requirements of the startup program. You know it already; it will be repetition. However, you have to have a support from designated organizations in Canada, and you have to have certain type of ownership structure within your startup. You have to have some English. CLB 5 is not a high requirement, to be honest. And you have to have the support, the minimum support of the money that you need to have is based on the number of people within your family. So these are four main criteria. The most challenging one is this one, I believe, the first one, letter of support. Okay, letter of support from the designated organizations. The overall process of startup works the following way. So you make a pitch, you prepare a pitch, you make a pitch, and to designated organizations. They like you, they don't like you. So they decide. You receive a support from those organizations, or you, in case of incubator, we will go into that very soon. In case of incubator, you are accepted to the incubation program. You form a company in Canada based on that ownership structure and so on. You apply for permanent residency, and permanent residency takes some time to complete. But in the meantime, you can apply for work permit, come here, and wait, and you basically will be inside Canada while you wait for your permanent residency. Then, of course, at the final goal is to make a successful startup and also become a permanent resident in Canada. Designated organizations, just very on a very high level, venture capital funds, very like the highest level, I would say, angel investors, or business incubators. There's a list that we have provided here. It's very easy to access, and it's available online. This is for your convenience only. So let's consider the stages of growth. Okay, we will let me delve into this, and let me welcome everyone who just joined. We are talking about startup visas, the advantages, the challenges, and the dilemma. The dilemma I will focus at the end. So let's come back to this presentation. There are stages of growth and investment that relates to the startup. Okay, each stage, as outlined here, we outlined 5 stages. Each stage requires different kind of investment, and you can attract different types of investors or third parties to pitch into your startup. One, the most people are at the idea stage. Okay, idea is great. However, idea is nothing if there's no support. Okay, there are millions of ideas around the world. I receive many emails saying that, oh, I have a patent, I have an idea, and so on. I need money to start my startup. At the idea stage, I think the startup visa is not the best fit. Okay, idea needs to be matured. Idea needs to be realized practically. Do you have customers? Have you successfully demonstrated problem solution fit? So market fit of your idea. That's very important. And usually the founders themselves, their friends and family, they support financially at the idea stage. So then you have the proven business model. Okay, the concept has been proven. You have some customer, you tested in the market, and then you second stage is the startup stage. Okay, now it's worth pursuing your idea. You have tested, now it's worth pursuing. This is where most of the time incubators and accelerators come in. They like your idea, they accept you to the incubation process. Okay, incubation program. Remember, the word incubate, I think, most relevant to the chicken eggs, right? You incubate them so they hatch. Now the incubator program believes in your idea, and you have proven the concept that there is a market demand, there's a market fit, and incubators accept you for their program. So there's an incubation process going on. Let's say, I don't know how many months. So this is where incubators come in. So depending on where your idea startup is, you need to refer to different kind of supporters. Okay, I think if you are at the startup stage number 2, then the best chance you would have is with incubators and accelerator programs. Then comes the development stage. So product market fit is tested, and there's a solution, there's a business model, there's a product market fit. The third stage is a development stage. Okay, development. This is where the angel investors and angel groups come in. They think, okay, you've covered certain mileage, you've come to this stage. Now we can support you. So incubator, then angels, and when it comes to growth and maturity, that's where the venture capitalists, that $200,000 comes in, right? Angel investors, 75, venture capitalists and private equity funds, that's where 200,000, the growth money comes in. So you need to really be realistic on where you stand in this spectrum, and then act accordingly. This is why the challenge is this. I think one of the disadvantages of this program from the immigration and applicant perspective is that most of them are at the idea stage. Okay, they have that great idea, they want to bring it to Canada. However, the startup visa program is a bit misunderstood that you need to have certain mileage covered before you are successful in the startup visa. Okay. All right. Now, permanent resident application is very straightforward. It's you can find it in this booklet. We will leave this booklet. We are finalizing it. Okay. We will leave it to you. So don't forget to subscribe to our channels, and we will deliver this booklet for you. Basically, there's a process that we have outlined, and some samples of how things work, and FAQs. You can find it there. Now, let's come back to the advantages of this program. Right, the program gives you two big advantages. One, it brings you to Canada. Two, it regardless of the success of your startup project, it allows you to stay in Canada permanently. Okay, the whole purpose of creating this program was to attract the best talents, the most skilled people who have this idea to Canada. Okay, those people have really been involved in all the process. They came up with the idea, they realized, they did technical preparation and so on. So all of them, let's say 5 founders, up to 5 people, can come here to Canada with their startup idea if they get the support. So this is the advantage. Disadvantage from other perspectives that we've seen in our practice is there's a great idea. You hold this idea, and you have realized you have obtained customers, your idea has been proven, there's a need in the market, and so on. And then you try to obtain support. One, from angels and venture capitalists, they, of course, when they invest in you, they want to know what's the exit strategy, okay? If your idea is great and you have enough money, sometimes it's better to go on this pathway on your own, without investment, without angels or without venture capitalists. Because why? Because angels and venture capitalists, they get very big chunk, and they want you to subscribe to their exit strategy. For example, if they invest 200,000 in your startup, and they want to see some kind of commitment in terms of money, that their 200,000 will become 600,000 in 3 years or 5 years. Okay, they want to see that. So they want to see a fund allocated for that purpose. So, or they will give you draconian terms in terms of, let's say, you give the half of that or a big chunk of your startup, which is great, which could be successful. If you have money to realize your startup, I believe you should do it on your own. That's a disadvantage. You have to make a choice. Of course, if you don't have any resources, you have spent all your resources on your idea and development stage, and now you have to give up something to get that support. That support from angels or from venture capitalists doesn't come for free. Okay, there's a big chunk that you will give up in your startup in order to get their support if they like your idea. So that's the main disadvantage. Okay, so giving up too much of your own baby for the investors. Now, in our practice, we have seen many ideas and, let's say, people who want to be behind that idea. They want to come to Canada. The only thing that they think is permanent residence. No, startup visa is not about just permanent residence. It's about innovation. It's about being competitive Canadian company on the global level. It's about attracting great talent. That's why I will be honest now with you, the dilemma. The dilemma is the following. Many people we have heard, and many people come to us saying that I want to be in one of those 5 founders and get permanent residency. I'm ready to pay $200,000 myself in order to get the spot for that startup visa boat. Okay, I think this is an abuse of the startup visa program, and it's not ethical. Startup visas get refused many times because there's no genuine connection between the founders on that startup project. You cannot purchase a permanent residency. If you're trying to purchase a permanent residency in Canada by being on that group of 5 people, you are abusing the system, okay? And there will be consequences, of course, okay? That's the dilemma. Many people have the money. They cannot do any other type of immigration. They think, I will purchase I will purchase permanent residency by giving money to this startup myself, and I will be one of the 5 people. Okay, that is not the purpose for which the startup visa has been created. Okay, you need to be very careful, you're very diligent, and very ethical in that respect. So I will leave it at that stage, because I've been speaking for 20 minutes now. I will be taking your questions. So we've discussed about advantages. Of course, there are obvious advantages of startup. We've discussed about the process, and we've discussed about disadvantages, and we've discussed about the startup visa dilemma. Many people trying to abuse this, which is not good, and government is not. It doesn't close their eyes for this kind of abuse. The government will be checking you, will be double checking the whole who's involved in this startup, and if you're trying to abuse the system, the negative consequences will be on your shoulders. I think now it's time for your questions. If you have any questions, let me get it. Just as a reminder for those who have just joined, we are talking about startup visa of Canada startup visa, advantages, disadvantages, and dilemmas. We are providing very honest and obvious feedback based on the recent brochure booklet that we have created for this program. I will leave when this booklet is fully ready for publication. I will leave the link where you can obtain this booklet, and it will be very useful to go through the material. I invite you to subscribe to our social media channel. We provide a lot of holistic, objective information. We love to share our knowledge and practice with you so that you can get the best decision in your situation. Okay. Now it's time for your questions. If you have any questions, let me know. If you don't have questions, that's okay. You can come back with your questions in our sessions for every Friday. Now, while I wait for your questions, I will make another announcement. We are organizing a webinar, a live webinar with the founder of Intradia, Renata Johnson, on February 26th at 11 a.m. So if you are interested in doing international business with Canada, how things are done, we will be listening to Renata. She will be telling us about commercial aspects, and she will be our guest speaker. I will be talking about mostly the immigration side, if it's relevant to you. Okay. So time for questions, and thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you, Fakhri. You always participate actively in our sessions. Good evening from Turkey, Tahir. Thank you very much for your participation. Good evening to you too. Yes, and Tahir's comment is very relevant. You say money is not everything. Yes, money in this scenario. Many people ask me if I cannot do startup visa, which seems very easy. I get it. I become one of the founding partners. I get with my family to Canada through startup visa. If not startup visa, what can you do? I think if you have the money to invest, that $200,000 or whatever $1,000 you have to invest, you should look into C11 program. If you have great financial resources, if you want to do business in Canada, why don't you do C11 and prove that your business in Canada will bring economic benefit to the Canadian population? I will bring one of the latest success stories that we had at Sobirovs law firm. I will bring that as an example. Let me bring it to the screen. Let me bring it to okay, let me bring it to the screen. 1 second. Okay. When you go to Sobirovs law firm, there are many success stories you can find. One of them is this one. Why our clients want to be associated with Canada. This is a story about C11 application. Okay, C11 application from Turkey. The person has enough financial resources. He's in his 50s. We decided that C11 is the best way to proceed, and we got a positive result in just 6 days. Okay, if you have the money and you are ready to invest it, it doesn't have to be startup visa. Okay, you can do it through C11 or other programs. So discuss it with a lawyer and come up with the best strategy. And yesterday I updated this. Yesterday we got all their visas for the husband, wife, and three children. This is a great example of C11, which we successfully completed, and we are happy with the result, as is our client.